gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Do I know what's going to happen? No, I'll guess.
We win one tomorrow. That's called a winning streak.
All right, I'm not a fucking athlete. This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
Adapt or die.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the A+ Sports League podcast, Golf Edition, name pending. We're currently workshopping the name that we have for the podcast. It's been a while since we've done anything for the golf season, and as soon as football wraps up, we might start investigating a new marketing strategy.
Yeah, we're trying to get some momentum with this idea of the podcast network and sharing the platform with the football guys, with Nick and Libinati, and we'll see where it takes us. I think that we're gonna workshop a couple of strategies over the next couple of weeks, and then maybe by the time football season's done, come up with a way to sort of come up with a podcast platform.
Yeah. For those who are listening for the first time or have only listened to the golf football podcast, I'm your host, Matty Maitai. With me, as always, is Chris O'Neill. What's happening, Chris?
What's going on, Matt? Started the golf season, exciting. Took a 5-week break after the Masters. We got everything started last week with the Tournament of Champions, the unofficial start to the season for, I know, you and I, after taking a couple of weeks off. It's the Hawaii swing. We got a taste of the action last week with 40 golfers in the field. We got to see some of the big names at the top of the leaderboard, but now we're getting into our first full field tournament of the new year. So Sony Open, it's at Whatttttt Country Club.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. So we haven't done any podcasts since the Masters last year, which was a hell of a tournament, and Dustin just broke a lot of hearts, but good for him. Always fun to see Dustin win a tournament. And we took kind of the swing season off. We did start our gambling and our in-house one-and-done league in the office last week at the Tournament of Champions, which started in Hawaii, 42-man field, as Chris just mentioned, and now we are finally getting to the swing of things with the Sony Open at Whatttttt Country Club. So,
yeah, hopefully this will yield better results for me. So our one-and-done started last week. I was high on Matsuyama. Matsuyama hadn't finished below a T4 in his time there. He didn't win his way into the Tournament of Champions. They extended the field to include people from the Tour Championship as well, just because they had missed a couple of tournaments with the COVID cancellations. So the field was a little larger. I banked on a guy that has a lot of good course history, maybe not playing his best golf as of late. Did do well at the Houston Open during the swing season, but yeah, sucked. He was the only player over par going into the last round. Kind of redeemed himself on Sunday and only finished tied for last, but not great.
No, and I had Adam Scott last week, who didn't fare too much better, didn't finish nearly as bad as Matsuyama, but he finished in the 20s. And the thing that I'm really kicking myself in the butt for is what I said to you, Chris. Thursday morning, I had Harris English in my lineup for this one-and-done league that we are in, and I tinkered with my lineup, went against my gut, and put Adam Scott in because Adam Scott doesn't play many tournaments, and I don't think he's winning a major anytime soon. So I figured this is a good short field for Adam Scott to win. Nope. Harris English ended up winning the tournament in a playoff against Joaquin Niemann, who had a fantastic Sunday, ended up going -9, I believe, Chris?
Yeah, -9, missing the playoff hole. There's going to be a lot of controversy out there about his time spent not preparing to play the 18th hole again, hanging out with Sergio and the ladies. Basically after the 18th green, waiting for Harris English to finish up. Harris English birdied that, came back and birdied the hole again in the first playoff.
I mean, if you go -9 on Sunday, like, how much more practice do you need? Clearly you're on fire. Like,
you're a professional. You're sitting there for like 45 minutes waiting for the rest of the rounds to finish up. I don't know. You get cold. When you're in a rhythm there, you're playing a hole, you're hitting a drive every 10 minutes, and you're swinging the entire day. And then when you take that time off, maybe your body's not ready to get, I don't know. Whatever it was, people were making a big deal out of it. He's confident. If he knew that he had to do that in order to win, then he probably would have been on the course.
He's French. He needed a croissant or a baguette or something like that. So I
believe he's Chilean.
Same thing.
I have a question for you, though. getting into the field for this week's tournament, is Harris English elite? Is Harris English an elite golfer?
It's hard to say. I guess it depends on what you say is elite. So he obviously has had a great end of 2020, and he already started off 2021 well, did good in the swing season. I mean, go back to Northern Trust when DJ shot that crazy -30. Harris English shot -21? So that's an incredible round against a strong field at the Northern Trust. He just got overshadowed by probably the best golfing performance of the year from last year's Player of the Year, Dustin Johnson. So Harris English once was good. He lost his swing for a while. Now he's back, and I don't know if he's quite elite, but he's borderline. He's up there.
Yeah, so
for sure.
Looking at the early odds and some of the early DraftKings pricing, he's priced elite. He's priced ahead of Colin Morikawa right now, and he's the number 2 golfer in the field, according to the DraftKings pricing.
Yep, he's second in the betting odds as well, and I get it. I mean, Harris English has been on fire, and to be honest, part of the reason I didn't take him last week is I thought he would win this week because I thought this course set up a little bit better for him. And then, I mean, when you gain 9 strokes putting, it's easy to see why he won. But I think he sets up well here. JT won it back-to-back years between the 2 Hawaii events, and I think Harris English has a great chance of doing the same.
All right, great. Well, let's jump into this week's tournament. It's a Wailea Country Club. Wailea? I don't know.
Wailea?
Yeah. We'll hear it a bunch of times on the TV. It's a par 70 course, 7,044 yards, Seth Reiner design. Bermuda greens. It's got a short rough. It has narrower fairways and not a ton of water on this course. So it's going to have the 2 par 5s that end each of the 9s on hole 9 and hole 18. Very scoreable holes there. A lot of par 4s in the 400 to 450 range and the 450 to 500 range. I think that's 10 out of the 18 holes fall into that category, so we're going to be looking for that similarity. But it just plays like a shot maker's course. You know, the people that are bombers aren't going to have the advantage here. You want to stay in the fairway. It's going to come down to approaches, and this is a course that you see the Matt Kuchars win. You see the Charles Howell II always competing every year.
The second?
The third.
CH3, come on.
CHW. I'm looking at his name right here. I saw the double L's at the end.
I agree with you. So 4 of these holes are par 3s, 2 are par 5s, and the rest are par 4s. And like Chris said, a lot of them fall in that 400 to 500 range. Par 4 scoring is big. And this is not a course that you're going to get tricked by water hazards or a lot of obstructions. It's simply hit the fairway and get as close to the green as you can. I mean, it's definitely a field that plays to more accurate hitters. Like you said, the Brysons of the world wouldn't thrive here. It should be interesting. I think it's going to be a different skill set that wins here than last week, but I think Harris English has the skill set to go for it, so it's kind of funny. But I think this is going to be a much more entertaining field than last week, for sure. And it's wild because usually this is a birdie fest and the scores are in the high teens, low 20s, although last year's score was -11 because of some poor conditions. This year looks a lot better.
Yeah, it does. And we're looking at course similarities right now, too. The layout, the par 70 courses, obviously, you're looking at Bermuda greens. We got the Honda, we got Wyndham, we got Heritage and Mayakoba I have right now for similar tracks. And I also threw on the Sanderson Farms at the Country Club at Jackson, just to take a look at some of the guys that typically perform well on these types of courses. And, of course, at the top of my list, last 50 rounds at those similar type of courses is Matt Kuchar. We got Webb Simpson, Sergio, Harris English, JT Poston, Rory Sabatini, Daniel Berger, and Billy Horschel. So I think those are some of the names that you see on these shorter courses, some of these shot maker courses, and those are the types of, that's the golfer profile that we're going to be looking at this week.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that about Matt Kuchar because Matt Kuchar won this event and won the Mayakoba, I think in 2018, 2 events that are not quite back-to-back, but very close, and then Patton Kazire did that as well. So some of these courses really do correlate, and if people are hot on these short courses, it'll translate at the Sony. And a lot of guys do tend to have a similar repeat success at this course. I mean, Charles Howell III, not a great golfer, struggles a lot, but every time he shows up here, he does well. Hasn't missed a cut since '03, Chris. Played every year since '03. He's never missed a cut.
Yeah, we got horses for courses, and he's definitely one of them. I think you're going to see a lot of him in DraftKings play. Let me see, where is he going off? Charles L. third at 8,000. So he's at the bottom of the 8,000 range, which is probably overpriced for him on a typical tournament. But like I said, he plays well here. They expect a lot of ownership out of him. He's actually priced higher than Jason Kokrak, who won during the swing season, CJ Cup earlier this year. Based on form, that's what you're going to see out of him. So let's jump into maybe a little bit of the betting odds and some of the people that we like in this tournament.
Yeah, we can jump right into the betting odds. Right at the top is Webb Simpson, who, when you think short Bermuda courses, Webb Simpson usually crushes it. It's last year he finished third here. Me and you were both on him, Chris. And the year before that he was fourth. I mean, this is just kind of his style of course. And if he can get over his COVID symptoms from the holidays, he should be up there. I have him as a top 10 bet. I didn't bet him outright because he was at 9-1 on my book, but I think a top 10 at plus 150 is just free cash. I mean, in the last 5 appearances here, he hasn't finished worse than 13th. So.
Yeah, he's clearly the best golfer in the field. He's somebody that you can bank on. I know last year for our one and done tournaments, you and I both had him. Both got a third place finish out of him.
Nice quick $500,000.
Yeah, exactly. Got us started on the season on the right track. Worked out well for you. Eventually a car crash at the end of last year. But we love Webb Simpson here. In my stat ranking that I put together, he ranks out 5th on this course, and that's looking at a bunch of stats that I think are going to play well here with approaches and the par 4 distances and proximity 150 to about 200. And yeah, I expected things out of him this week. I think him as a top 10 bet's pretty safe.
Yeah. And when I was looking at this, I mean, 9-1 is just too much for an outright, but I think, like you said, this course is really for him. And, when I looked at this course, it was really about the par 4s. It was about putting on Bermuda, who's been hot lately, and then just kind of course comps is what I've been looking at.
So one thing, though, you got to think about with Webb Simpson is his off-the-tee numbers last week at the Tournament of Champions sucked.
Were atrocious, but it doesn't really worry me here because this is much shorter, and he was going up against the DJs, the Roms, like guys that he's never going to beat off the tee. So, yeah, I'm not shocked he lost a lot off the tee because of all those major players, he's one of the worst tee guys. You take all of them out of the field and make this a shorter course that he's much more comfortable with. I think that kind of equals out at least. Maybe it goes back to 0 shots gained off the tee, in which case
he's going to gain 6.5, 7 strokes on the field.
Exactly. So I think this is perfectly suited for him. Others on the list, like we said, Harris English is second, along with Colin Morikawa 11-1, Berger's 15-1, Im 16-1, Matsuyama 20-1, Neiman 22, Answer 32, Cam Smith 32, Kisner 32, and that's kind of the range I'm living in. I don't think too many long shot golfers are going to be relevant here. I think this is an area where a lot of these golfers have been hot. Most of the golfers I just named played at the Tournament of Champions, which I think, 6 of the last 7 winners and like 9 of the last 11 winners have played the previous week at the Tournament of Champions before winning the Sony Open. So I think that's going to be big just in terms of time zones and everything.
Yeah, we talked about last year being an outlier too with the course conditions, and that's your one exception right there was Cam Smith didn't play at the TOC.
Correct. But I do think that's important. So the bets I have just to start off, Sung J M 16-1. Like we said, Honda Classic is the Honda Classic.
Correct. There you go, Matthew.
The Honda Classic is a nice comp course to this, and Sung J M won that last year. He's great on Bermuda. He actually, I think, led in shots gained tee to green last week at the Tournament of Champions, just couldn't really putt, and since he's really good at putting on Bermuda, it kind of seems like he's poised for a bounce back.
Yeah, that's his favorite surface.
And I love Sung Jae. Sung Jae is one of my favorite players. He was my first one last year in the one and done. I always love to look for Sung Jae. 16-1 is a little short. I don't love it. I didn't put a ton on it, but I do think that, ranked 5th in this field, he easily should be with Webb in terms of just talent and course comps to these type of short Bermuda.
Yeah, and if you take the RSM out, which could have been just Masters burnout, where he finished in second place, he's got 2 top 5s in his last 2 starts against the best fields available.
Yeah, good recent form. He crushed it at the Masters, and then the week after he was a little exhausted. Shocker, but I think he got rejuvenated over the holidays. He looked good last week. I had an outright bet on him last week, 70-1. Sadly, he had a rough start, but he did finish, I think, fifth or sixth. Fifth last week. So he came on strong at the end of the tournament, which is what I always like to see going into the next tournament. Segueing that, someone else who started off rough last week and ended up crushing it actually had the best score on Sunday at -7, Abraham Answer.
The best score on Sunday at -7.
-7.
Didn't Neiman go 9 under on Sunday?
Second best score.
Oh, second best. There we go.
One of the better scores on the day. Abraham Answer was -7 on Sunday. He did gain a lot of his strokes via the putter, but I think that he will be much more suited for this course. He's a much more accurate, straight driver of the ball, and I think it'll come to his advantage on this course where it's much more narrow and he doesn't have to bomb it out. So I like Abraham Answer at 32-1. I think he's due to win. Before last week, he's been doing well. He's finished in the top 20 in his last 3 tournaments. I just think Abraham Answer is poised for a win, so I like the equity there. Another guy at 32-1 is Kevin Kisner, who I really like. I had him as my one-and-done pick for a while. I've kind of backed off on that, but I really think just the course history here is really suited well for him. Last year, when he played this event, he was flirting second and third with Brendan Steele and Cam Smith the whole tournament, and he couldn't gain strokes putting. The only area of his game where he lost strokes was putting last year, and Kevin Kisner is known as a putter on the PGA Tour. So if he gets the putting back, he wins that tournament. So I just think this is a good spot for Kevin Kisner, and he played last week. So those are my outright bets, Chris.
Yeah, I do like the Kisner thing too. Course comp, obviously the RSM finished second place just the week after the Masters. Tournament of Champions, not his best day on the approach, still gained 3 strokes putting, so the putter's definitely there for him. He's somebody I could see performing. All right, let's jump into a little bit of the DraftKings pricing.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I actually have 2 more bets.
We're back on betting.
Well, they weren't outright, so I already mentioned the web top 10 I put in, but I also, with that Kisner outright, it was the top 5 each way, so I got a little action on Kisner just in case he doesn't win outright, and then I sprinkled a little money on Daniel Berger top 5. I don't know what it is about Berger. I feel like he's always just sniffing it, but won't pull out the win. So I took a little bit more of a conservative approach with him at plus 430. I put a little action on Daniel Berger top 5. He's one that likes Bermuda. He looked good last week. I mean, on Saturday, I believe he was tied second going into the last day. Just couldn't pull it together. So I didn't quite want to put an outright, but I like the top 5.
Great. Yeah, no, we love Berger. I think that's actually a pretty good segue to get into the DraftKings pricing because I'm looking at the guys right now in the 10,000s range, and you got Webb Simpson, you got Harris English, Morikawa, Neiman at 10-4, Hideki Matsuyama, who came in pretty much last place last week, and then Daniel Berger is nestled down there as the lowest priced guy in the $10,000 range, and I love Daniel Berger this week.
So do I.
His course lays out well for him. He's been hot basically the past year. I mean, him slowing down was the stretch that he had around the U.S. Open, the CJ Cup, the Zozo, and the OHL. And even those, he's in the top 30.
Yeah, slowing down. Came in 28th, 17th, 10th. Yeah, really slowed down.
So I feel like he's somebody that you can bank on. His game is coming into form right now. Yes, not great at Sony last year, but that was before Daniel Berger became Daniel Berger of 2020. Became the guy that was sniffing the top of the leaderboard and had 7 consecutive top 10 finishes.
It was almost like the Sony kicked off his rebirth last year because after that he had 3 top 10s right before COVID hit, and then you think, oh, he's on a hot streak. It's brutal that COVID hit. He's not going to keep it up. First tournament out of the gates, Charles Schwab, he wins it, and then ends up having 4 more top 5 finishes, competing in majors. He just looks like a completely different golfer.
Yeah, and we love it. That level of consistency is something that I like to bank on, especially when I'm getting my 10,000 guys. Webb Simpson obviously is going to own a lot of the ownership up at this level just because he's the best player in the field and he has fantastic course history. But I'll save the 1,100. I'll flirt with Daniel Berger and hope that he finishes somewhere in the top 5 or maybe pulls out a win.
Yeah, I mean, Berger could definitely win. I can see it. Over the last 24 rounds, We each have a model, and he's fifth in mine, right ahead of Webb Simpson. So I like the value. I like Webb Simpson too. I don't know if I'd want to pay up the 1100. I mean, I think this is perfectly fit for him, but it's just a cost comparison. Because if he doesn't win, whether it's DraftKings or a bet, outright bet, like there's so much value that you lose taking Webb Simpson. So you basically need him to win. I think Daniel Berger's a great pivot. Another one I like. I think Air Harris English can compete here. I thought he could win. I think he can pull off the back-to-back, but it's one of those.
I'm talking about Harris English.
He might be tired from the playoffs.
We've done. We've beaten this Harris English thing.
We're just going through the 10Ks.
All right, let's talk about Harris English for another 25 minutes. All right, we're going to jump into the 9,000s now. Sungjae Im, highest price at 98. We got Cam Smith, reigning champion. Abraham Ancer, we already talked about. Adam Scott's in there, but my interesting play is Ryan Palmer. Palmer was what did he finish, third? Right after the playoffs last week, and at 9,200, he's starting to get priced just like Harris English up with the elites, right? He's in that second level of top tier talent, and he has win equity. He can go out there and win a tournament. He's done it in the past. Tenured player. He's just very consistent. He's not very flashy. I don't know if I like him at 9,200. I feel like Adam Scott's got a little bit more win equity there, and you can get a higher performance out of him. But I could probably see myself putting Ryan Palmer into a couple of lineups.
Yeah, his last two tournaments at the Tournament of Champions in Zozo, he came fourth in both of those, and he was fourth in Sony last year. So I think he's got good form and good history. It's not a bad bet. I love Sungjae in this range. I'm going, as I said, I bet Sungjae, and I think he's a great DraftKings play. I think he should be with the elites, higher than Berger, Matsuyama, and all of them. So I love him. Adam Scott, I don't know.
What about the value on Cam Smith? Right, the reigning champion right now. He came in third at the Masters, played this week at the Tournament of Champions. He's back there, and he's priced now 8th in the field.
I'm just out on him. I don't see the repeat happening. The form's not bad, obviously, with the Masters performance, but he's not a big Bermuda guy, and I think last year was just kind of a fluke. I think he could live in that -11 and -12 range, but I don't think he's got what it takes to get to the -20s.
Okay, great. Let's jump down to the 8,000s. Leading the way, we got Kevin Kisner at 88, Russell Henley, Horschel, ZJ, Matt Kuchar, a horse for the course down there and a past winner, Sergio Garcia, Brandon Todd, Lonzo Griffin, and EVR back in action again. And in my ranking right now...
You forgot Charles Howell III.
Oh, I forget.
Or the second.
Chucky Trace. In this range, in number 2 in my model, and somebody who has pretty good recent form, especially during the swing season, is crushing it on approach and giving himself opportunities to make plenty of birdies as long as the putter is working out for him, Russell Henley. Russell Henley is at 8,700. I feel like he's priced in the same range as Kevin Kisner. I think he's striking the ball a lot better. He has 2 top 5s at the Zozo and the CJ Cup, and Russell Henley is my guy. Kind of bucks the trend of somebody that didn't play earlier this week, didn't perform all that great at the RSM, but is top 30 there. I think he's got an opportunity this week to put up some low numbers. He's been well rested, and he arrives in Hawaii as a previous winner on this course with a chance to score.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Russell Henley because he looked fantastic towards the end of last year, and then he kind of entered the swing season and stayed relevant, but hit the Mayakoba, which is the tournament I use the most to compare this to. He goes -4.5 strokes putting, doesn't make the cut, or -4.5 strokes total, and misses the cut. He's number 1 in my stat model, but I'm honestly a little hesitant to play him. I'll probably sprinkle him in. He's great on the par 4s, and in the proximity ranges that we're talking about, it's a gut feeling. I don't know what to do with Henley, but we'll see. I like Kisner, as I mentioned. I think ZJ actually is going to have a strong performance this week. I think he's had good form recently. He has great course history at both the Sony and the OHL. I think he's a great one. I don't love Charles Howell III, but the course history speaks for itself. I think he's just one of those guys that he'll show up and get you a top 10.
All right, so I just sorted by my course comparisons. So I have all the courses that we've been talking about, the top 5 there. And I'm sorting by the last 24 rounds by each player in the field at the Sanderson, at the at Harbor Town, at PGA National, at El Chameleon. And the number one player in my model here, Sergio Garcia. What do we make of this? That was somebody that had a strong Thursday, struggled on Friday.
Yeah.
He actually had a slow start to the day on Thursday. He wound up 2 over through the first couple of holes, but then got on fire and was 6 under for the day. Sergio,
I mean, I had a 230-1 bet on him last week, so I was praying Sergio.
we liked him last week. He could get it going. He's somebody who's got a ton of win equity. He's playing consecutively this weekend for the first time ever, really, doing the Hawaii swing.
Yeah, and he has experience winning in Hawaii. He won the Tournament of Champions about a decade ago, but he has won in Hawaii. And the only thing with Sergio, he lost 5 strokes putting, and he lost a stroke on approach. He made up for it off the tee and around the green, and he's not a super accurate driver. So this course just for some reason doesn't make me want to jump out and grab him.
All right. Well, let's move down then. We'll get out of the 8,000s unless you have one more.
I have one last thing I want to say. Brendan Todd, he hasn't had great form recently, but he's just a guy that could have a hot putter, and he's super accurate. I think with course history, he's someone I'm going to be sprinkling in as well.
All right. Down to the 7,000s, we got Emiliano Grillo, Leishman, Harmon, Munoz, Kokrak.
Big group.
Past winner, Patton Kazare, Si Woo, Kim, The Gooch, Keegan Bradley, Kevin, I Suck on Sunday, crushed a couple of my DraftKings lineups. Carlos Ortiz, winner during the swing season. Mackenzie Hughes, who joined Matsuyama in last place last week. Ches Reavy, Mr. Not So Great recent form. The inventor of basketball, Matthew Neesmith.
Don't skip my boy.
And several others down here, all the way down to Matt Jones and Johnny Vegas down there at 7,000.
So,
who do you like?
I'll give you just a quick hit of the ones I like, and we can kind of talk about them. I like Grillo. I like Munoz. I like Siwoo Kim. I like Neesmith. I like Han. I like Davis. And I like Kokrak. That's kind of the group of guys I like in the 7K range.
Let's talk about Siwoo. Let's see why is he rating out so well for me?
Short Bermuda. I mean, this is his jam. Like the Wyndham tournaments like that. He's not as much as a coastal course guy, but like short Bermuda courses are always his jam. And he pops up in my model too, all over the place. I just think this is kind of course for him. He didn't do bad at the Masters not that long ago. I mean, the Shriners, the CJ Cup, he's had decent form. I don't think he can win, but I think he can definitely be up there.
Okay. And as far as win equity and the value, yeah, he's somebody when he gets hot, he absolutely stripes it. But he can pull a Matsuyama, he can pull a Siwoo Kim where he's 6 over through the first 4 holes, and then he's just a disaster, and he tanks every single one of your lineups. So I'd like to see a little more Siwoo before I start playing him down at this level.
Best finish at the Sony 4th in 2016.
You might talk me into it. I'm looking at Jason Kokrak in this range, though.
Yeah, it was one
he won 6 weeks ago, and he's priced in the 7,700s. There's a good amount of value there. He's somebody who stripes the hell out of the ball. Had a difficult week last week. 35th TOC, lost pretty much everywhere.
Started off hot and then just kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah, but he had good form towards the end of the summer. 6th at the BMW, 13th in the Northern Trust, 17th at the U.S. Open, and obviously won the CJ Cup.
I like him for the value like you. The thing that scares me is he's a bomber, and this isn't really a bomber's course.
Yeah, you could see him cutting a couple of angles down. We're going to like him on the par 5s on holes 9 and 18, especially 18, where you can cut the corner on that and have yourself a nice little 120-yard wedge shot in to set up your eagle.
He is 9th in my model in terms of shot gains par 4 over the last 24 rounds. So with that being an important factor of this course, he could be a strong play here.
All right. 2 other players that I see down here at the bottom. One, I do love your play with Munoz. He's somebody that I liked a lot last week, and I'm going to be playing him a little bit this week.
It just feels like his season. He feels like the swing season kind of guy.
Cam Davis.
Yep. I love Cam Davis.
And last year's disaster, falling apart on 18, Brandon Steele.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm with you on both of those. Cam Davis is your boy, so I knew you'd enjoy him. He pops in my model, and I mean, we were playing Cam Davis when he was in the 9,500 range in tournaments that had, I mean, they were a little weaker than this field, but not much weaker than this field. Now he's at 7,200. It seems like incredible value. And I also do like Brendan Steele, Chris.
Yeah. Well, the comparable courses that we're looking at, Cam Davis was 8 at the Honda back in March and 6 at the Sanderson Farms in October. So I like him for the value that you're getting here. Cam Davis, the Aussie, he's playing a little closer to home than most. So probably putting him in to help round out a couple of lineups that are set up by some of the higher name guys up top.
Yeah, and I think he has a legitimate chance to finish in the top 10.
All right, I'm not going to spend too much time down here with the 6,000s. I think this is, though, where you're going to get some of your value when you're trying to balance out the rest of your lineups. But somebody I'll consistently be putting in there will be Peter Malnati. That's great. Finishes 15th in my stat ranking. He's been playing very well of late. I also like Doug Gim down here. He's also at 6,900. Will Gordon, obviously, is a heck of a player. He's going to be something special in the next few months, maybe next year or so. I think that he will start competing. He's going to start making some cuts. And I think, you know who we like down here at 63? You and I were talking about this earlier.
I mean, you're just taking my whole list of 6,000 golfers. And Wesley Bryant?
Wes Bryant.
Wes Bryant.
Yeah, that's it. The Chris and Matt podcast starring Wes Bryant, the 6,000s, pretty much every single week.
I mean, he's 15th in my model, and you touched on all the guys I had. Gim, he keeps popping. I think it's because of 1 or 2 tournaments. He hasn't had great form, but he's a good one at this range. Malnati is a great putter. I have him start. I'm going to use a lot of him. Will Gordon, Wes Bryant. I also like Pat Perez. And it's not a stat thing. It's more of a feeling thing. At 6,900, he's a guy that I feel like could go out and finish top 5. And Pat Perez just seems like an island guy, like loves Bermuda, loves Punta Cana. It's like, oh, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to fucking smash the ball and I get drunk every night. Like, just seems like a Pat Perez course. So I like him too, but yeah, everyone else, I'm on with you.
Great. All right, so I think we have some of our targets down here for the lowest end of the DraftKings scoring.
Yeah, I've gotten my core down to about 20 golfers, couple from the higher range, a lot in the 7Ks and 8Ks, and I think I'm gonna do more of a balanced build and not go too high. I don't think I'm gonna go with the Simpsons and Englishes too much. I think it's gonna be more in the middle.
Okay.
I don't love the 6K, but I'll use it if I need to.
All right, I think I'm going to lean a little bit more on that too. I think I'm going to build a lot of my lineups starting with maybe a Berger at 10,000 and then probably Sungjae right below him at 98. So it's a little bit of a modified stars and scrubs. I'm not taking the highest end.
Correct.
But because I'm taking people at that range, I'll probably be dipping into maybe the high 6s and get those Peter Malnatis into the group and see what we can make out of that. We want to talk a little bit about DraftKings strategies here with the type of tournaments that you're betting now, too. I was with my brother-in-law this past weekend, played a lot of 50-50s.
Interesting.
Yeah, and made a lot of money doing that this past weekend. So it's a different approach. Typically, I stick to the smaller entries because I'm not, while we are putting together a ton of these lists, I'm trying to compete against the people that are putting 150 entries into the $1 million prize pool isn't the best way to make some money on DraftKings.
No, I agree with you. The single entries or the limited entry ones are always good. And I mean, I know a lot of people, 50-50 is a way to make money, whether it's football, golf, basketball, whatever. That's an easy way to make money in terms of winning, but it takes longer because you're not winning as much. Everyone sees the $1 million or the $200,000 and they want to go for it, but it's much easier to just consistently double up your money and just keep slowly moving forward because, like you said, it's hard to compete against those guys that are generating actual algorithms and have 150 different lineups. And you
mean the guys that are better than us at this?
Yeah. The guys that can afford to put 3,000 into the Millionaire Maker. Yeah. Lucky them. But I like that strategy, Chris. So are you doing different lineups for that?
No, well, I don't think I'm going to get too much lineup diversity because I saw the strategy. I'm going to try it out. In order to double your money in some of these DraftKings things, you need to finish in the top 75 or 80%. And then when you're doing that, you have the potential, obviously, to get the exponential growth. If you're in the top 5%, top 10%, if you're top 1%, but even then you're still not winning the highest prize there. So if you want to consistently double your money, just like you're making a single bet, say outright on a football game, right? You're betting that your lineup is going to be better than 50% of the people that are out there doing it. So I can see myself targeting a couple of 50-50s this weekend because, when you're landing in that range, you finish in the top 30 percentile, In a 50-50, you're getting your money back, where if you're playing a typical tournament, you're going to wind up with zero.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Like that strategy. Hopefully you can implement that into your betting card if you're going to be entering anything for the Sony Open. Do we want to get to our picks?
Yeah, let's get into the picks. That's right.
Okay. So outright bet. Who do you like this week?
I love Sung Jae. This course plays way too much like the Honda for me. I have to go with Sung Jae. He's going to be in my one and dones as well. I think he played very well last week. He played very well at the Masters. His odds, he's not priced as the highest priced golfer in the field, but he is one of the most talented out there. I'm going to go with Sung Jae outright.
Well, looks like we're going to have the same one and done this week because I currently have Sung Jae Im in as well. So we both have Im as our outright. I think, he said it all.
Right.
Top 10 golfer that you are going to be playing. Is this golfer we think is going to be in the top 10 or golf 10? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Who do we think is going to finish in the top 10, Chris?
All right, well, you already have yours as Daniel Berger, so I'm going to pivot off of that a little bit, and I'm going to go with another golfer that I like down here in the middle. And I'm going to say Russell Henley. And I do trust the models that I've been using right now to get some of the information and filter out people that I think are going to perform well. He has good course history. He's won here before. I trust Russell Henley, and I think that he'll be in the top 10 on Sunday.
Okay, yeah. I like Daniel Berger, as I said. I think this is a great course for him. I just don't love the win equity. So give me Daniel Berger, top 10. That's a great one. Okay. Sleeper, Chris. Who is your sleeper on the board that you think can win this tournament?
So we did talk about Siwoo, and then I faded the hell out of him by the end of it, and I feel like I'm going to get away from Siwoo Kim here.
I can go.
I want to go. I'm torn between two that we talked about. I like Malnati. I like the form. I trust the putters. You got to bring your putter to this course. I'm going to go with Peter Malnati.
That's a good one and a very deep one. 6,900. I believe he's outside of around 110, 120 to 1 to win this tournament. I mean, if the putter gets hot, he definitely can do it. He's one of the better putters on tour, and this is going to be kind of a wedge and putter fest. So, sleeper. I don't know how much of a sleeper it is, but it's someone I don't think a lot of people are going to be on in terms of betting or even using their DraftKings lineup just where he lands. Zach Johnson. I think Zach Johnson could definitely win this tournament. I think he has won this tournament, actually, and he's just had great form sneakily. So Zach Johnson's my play as a sleeper pick here. He's going off in the betting odds at Zach Johnson 50 to 1. So I think that's pretty decent value for a guy who's won majors. So tournament field like this, give me ZJ.
Great.
All right, we're on to our top 10 player to fade. Chris, who at the top do you not like this week?
He's burned me recently. I don't think he has as good a form. He didn't bring it with him down to Hawaii. I did play the previous week at the Tournament of Champions, but you can't lose 8 strokes putting and be a top 10 golfer. I'm going to fade Hideki Matsuyama, and I'm going to keep him out of a lot of my lineups this week.
Well, I don't blame you.
While we're on this, though, and I'm kind of curious why we skipped over this, because we were talking about this earlier in the week before the podcast, and now we're on it right now. Why haven't we mentioned Colin Morikawa's name?
Yeah, it's
he's the highest ranked golfer in the field.
It's a fair
golf ranking. He's the highest one.
It's a fair question. I bet Colin Morikawa last week. He was second place on Saturday at the end of the third round, and he kind of just fell apart on Sunday. He finished the day even, which is on a course where you go -4, -8, -8 to finish even par is just. I mean, for me and you, that'd be great, but for a top 15 golfer in the world, that's not. He's 11 to 1 in the betting market, and he's the third highest priced player in DraftKings money at 10-6. It's not that I don't think he can win. I just don't love the value. It's a value play for me. I mean, the same could be said about Neiman. We haven't talked about him either, and he was in the playoff.
Yeah. Well, I think putting was a big thing for me on this course, and something that I've rated out pretty highly in dissecting some of the stats here. And Colin Morikawa is 98th in the field in strokes gained putting over his last 50 rounds. And
Bermuda's his worst surface, and it showed last week. So I think you can use him. I probably will have him in a lineup. I've tried fitting him in there, but the strategy I had this week and the fact that I think he's better suited for other tournaments.
All right, so I'm going to fade Matsuyama here because Morikawa is a better golfer. I think he has, regardless of where he's going to land, he's got a better opportunity to make the cut. Yeah.
I agree. I think Matsuyama is a bigger fade than Morikawa for me, too. My top 10 fade is actually going to be the defending champ, Cam Smith. He can go off at a moment's notice, but I just don't think he's going to be gearing up to defend the title this year. And I'm off.
Okay. And we'll jump to our last category. This is always a fun one and something that I like for the DraftKings purposes, because sometimes when I'm torn between a lot of the higher priced golfers, I like to lock in my low guys because it is very slim pickings in that field. That once you figure out who you want to play in the 6 to 7K range, you lock them into pretty much every lineup. And for me, that's going to be Peter Malnati in the 6,000 range.
Sleeper and your 6 to 7K.
I love him this week. And in my 7K range, I'm going to be playing a ton of...
No, we're just picking one. We're not doing both.
Oh, okay. All right. You want to go back to previous weeks when you're picking like one at each?
No, we were doing that. We were doing a 6K golfer and a 7K golfer.
Oh, my God. All right. I like Munoz. I said it.
Fine.
We'll move on. I won't write it down.
No, it's fine. We can put Munoz in. I think we should do one. But, fine. Fuck it. We'll do one of each. Munoz. I spelled his name wrong. Muzan.
Jesus.
All right. Well, in that light, I will have Matthew Neesmith as my 7K golfer that I'm going to be using a lot of lineups. He's just kind of popping. I love the form. I don't know what it is. Every time I try to change the parameters of what I'm looking for in terms of stats, he just keeps coming up. So I'm going to have Matthew Neesmith, and if I got to pick a 6K golfer, you took them all naughty, huh? Fuck it. I'll do Pat Perez. Pat Perez, my boy. Patty Perez, the island golfer. He's going to drink Mai Tais, fuck his wife, and shoot 5 under. That's the way it's going to go. Man.
Sounds like a hell of a weekend.
Okay. Do we want to recap those, or I think we're good?
I think we're good. We'll recap them next week when we realize how poorly we did on all of these picks.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Let's fucking go.
Any golf predictions or football predictions for this week?
This week, I think that I think the NFL playoffs are going to be very chalky this weekend. I love Green Bay. They lost one of their best linemen. I still think that they're probably the most talented team out there. They got a very experienced quarterback in Rodgers. I think Kansas City wins. I think Green Bay wins. I think that the Saints win their 3rd in a row this year over Tampa Bay. And Buffalo. Love Buffalo.
All chalk. All right. Well, Chris was a guest picker on the football show last week and went 1-4. So those are the picks you need to fade right there. No, I'm just kidding.
Those are straight ups. Those are not against the spread. I haven't looked at the numbers just yet for those games.
No, I'm just kidding with you. No, it'll be finally good to get the 1 seeds back in. I think you filtered out a lot of the bad teams, the Washingtons and the Chicagos.
Although Washington, not that bad. Covered.
They did. They played well, but they're a team that's not going to win the Super Bowl, especially when they didn't have Alex Smith playing. It's good defense. I think they'll be good next year, but it's not one. So it'll be interesting to see all the really good teams playing. I think it's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm going to be eating and drinking a lot. I don't know about you.
Bold prediction. Do you have one? Yeah. Something we're going to hear on the football pod from you?
Ooh, bold prediction. Tom Brady
gets an absolute
win.
Oh.
His 7th Super Bowl. All the Pats fans are upset. And then the argument becomes, is it Belichick or is it Brady?
Well, I think that would settle it right there.
I would think so too, but as we talked about earlier, the GOAT argument will last forever. So in either event, well, that was enough football talk on the golf show. If you want to listen to more football, tune in tomorrow for the discussion of the divisional round with Libinati and Cometa. Maybe Chris will pop in for a little bit. But in the meantime, hopefully you enjoyed our picks for the Sony Open 2021 kickoff to the golf podcast. Is Im your one and done?
Im's probably going to be my one.
Oh, I can't wait. Whenever me and Chris are on the same golfer, it's a good week in the office. So hopefully you're with us as well, and we can all win a bunch of money.
Enjoy.
Thanks.